Well, with the possibility of another winter snowstorm tomorrow, we had a viewer actually call in and ask, do they have to show up to work if the weather's bad and there are dangerous driving conditions? It's a great question, isn't it? Could they face discipline action by their employer? Another great question. Here to help us break down the answers in today's segment of What Are Your Rights? Attorney Paul Harding from Martin, Harding & Mazzotti. Paul, I love this one. I mean, this is real stuff that people are dealing with.
Sure
and there's a lot of people when they get up, they look out and they say, you know, this is not, I shouldn't be out on the road in a day like this. But what kind of options do they have when they're faced with that kind of decision?
Well, Liz, let me unpack this a little bit. I mean, if you have a state of emergency, and that did happen to us just a few weeks back, that you can't be on the road, mandated, unless you're an emergency vehicle, that's fine. You don't show up for work, you've got a great reason not to. But as a general proposition, things get tricky after that.
Yeah, what happens if you don't have a state of emergency? Is it, I mean, then it's just sort of your impression against maybe your boss's impression?
You have to be there. I mean, if you have to be at work if your work is open, and then if you haven't made other arrangements with them, you can't just say it's a bad snow day and hope that nothing's going to happen to you, because things can.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. What can happen to you? I mean, could you be fired?
Well, you know, here we are in New York, we're what we call at-will state, at-will employees. So your employer can fire you for virtually anything. They can fire you just because maybe your work isn't great, or just because they literally don't like your shoes. They don't have to give you a reason. Now, they can't let you go if age, gender, race, and your religion, but with the exception of the big four, in New York State, you're very vulnerable as an employee.
So if you're a bad winter driver, that's no excuse.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So how about it then? I mean, chances are you might be late. I'm sure that's probably not a fireable offense. But what can an employee do in a situation like that? Because we know in a winter like this that there are going to be messy roads out there.
There sure are. And sometimes you may live in a higher elevation. Where you work might be okay. Where you live might be pretty dangerous. But find out what the policies are at work. You know, let them know that you call in. Don't just not show up. Let them know your situation, and you got to do what's right for you. You really do. But keep your employer in the loop and find out what the policies are. Maybe take a vacation day, save one or two of those for something like that.
That's a great advice. Well, we appreciate it very much. I love the question, and hopefully it'll prompt some other interesting ones from our viewers. If you have one for Paul or anyone from Martin, Harding & Mazzotti, email them to whatareyourrights@cbs6albany.com, and we'll look forward